In 1967, there were Jim Brunn, who at the time was a police dispatcher, got a phone call when he was working and wanted to know if he knew anything about Tyrol football. He didn't. Keith Mills, Gary Mills, John Gabriel, and myself, we were all working midnight. We went to Michael's at 8 o'clock in the morning after that shift for coffee. We each chipped in $2 and bought a franchise. And the Niagara Knights 105-pound football team, that's where it got its start. We had no idea what we were doing.
I first met Art Eberhart 1966, 67. I was 11 years old, and my parents saw an ad in the Niagara Falls Gazette for a football team, and it was to be coached by a group of policemen. Something like 140 kids showed up at Hyde Park for the tryouts. So I was on the team, sitting on the bench cutting oranges for that whole first year. And, I brought a picture of the team. There it is, I'm number 50. And the coaches that year, most of them were policemen. Billy George, Dave Polikovich, John Ball, Richard Clute, Robert Fink.
In 1970, City Recreation asked us to take over a baseball program.
Keith Mills, Gary Mills, Jim Brunn, these were 1960s era policemen.
That's basically where PAL came from, is that we tried, because we wanted to do that baseball program. Buffalo PAL, New York City PAL gave us a lot of support, information, how to get it done. And like they say, the rest is, to be cliche, it's just kind of history. We went from that baseball team to what we are now.
I remember being a very young, maybe young teenager, and having Art Eberhart, Frank Orfano, my father, and Dan Bazzani in the basement of my house, and they were discussing something. They were setting up the first ever PAL basketball tournament. And in a different form, that tournament lives on this day, but it was started by the Police Athletic League. Those adults that got involved, those adults that volunteered, they became board members or mentors to programs or mentors to kids.
Art got me involved in coaching PAL baseball back in the middle 70s, so 50 years ago, and got me thinking differently about sports, from a competitive, away from a competitor standpoint to a coaching standpoint to what kids are up to standpoint. It's got me into a career basically for the last 30 plus years in sports and athletic administration and teaching.
Two guys that obviously were there for me. They were both in my wedding. One was my best man. Mark Williams was an everyday guy. Like I can't tell you, like he helped make the kids better. And to see somebody as mild-mannered as him build relationships with inner-city kids. Tony D'Angelo was another guy. Tony had diabetes at the time and couldn't physically do a lot of the things, but he was there on the sideline. He was there, and I just can't tell you what the little relationships those guys developed with our kids, what it meant.
One of the things we talk about all the time are PAL kids. In all of our families, we all have them.
Originally, it was basketball was the big one. In fact, going back to the 70s, we did a lot of collaborative programming with City Recreation. We ran basketball leagues. We did city swim meets, city track meets, but basketball was our first big sport. We sent teams to, I think the first tournament we went to was in like '74. We went to Indianapolis, Indiana with a boys basketball team, and then baseball teams, and it just evolved from there over the years.
And they had a league where we played kids from other parts of the city. So that's when I met kids from East Fall Street. I met kids from Midtown, LaSalle. I met the Spanbauers, the Dawes, Richard Cox, Juicy Bradley, Knuckles' brother. That's where it kind of all started. And back then, if you didn't have a PAL t-shirt, you weren't a player.
Basketball was the hook. And basketball was the thing that we could say, hey, look, if you want to play in the, we were real original. At the Y, we'd run the PAL Summer League, the PAL Fall League, the PAL Winter League.
Well, Niagara PAL took a whole different, I believe, in my experience, a kind of different approach. Yeah, it's competitive. It works out, neat concept, because at its peak in its third year, we had 13 teams. And all these kids participated against each other, and there was just kids. There were no coaches. Myself and Mike Hamilton were out there, and we reffed. And I remember distinctly being out at Reservoir Park and deciding that I was going to pick up and continue and get my bachelor's degree in recreation.
Well, to tell the truth, a lot of kids, they never been outside of Niagara Falls. So we get the van, we took 2 vans, we took the team to Washington, D.C., and the kids got to see actually NBA players. And we got to meet teams from around the country. Yeah, kids get experience they would never get just here in Niagara Falls.
Is at one point I had a elementary school basketball league, and now we're in our 12th year of offering the same program.
The thing about PAL, Art Eberhart was never afraid to expand. Like when I started coaching, it was just boys. Actually, Diane Quarantello at the Boys and Girls Club where I was working had an idea to start a girls' summer program. So I let Art know about it, and Art was on board. And since 2003 to this day, we've been having a girls' summer tournament. So the first year I coached, we went to Detroit. And the second year I coached, we had the tournament actually here in Niagara Falls. And through the years, I met a lot of people. I mean, a lot of good people, adults. Al Reeves was one of the PAL guys, mentors, and yeah, it was really fun.
You know, I realized how important it was for local law enforcement to interact with the community. Reach out to Art Eberhart and the Niagara Falls Police Department PAL program at the time, and talk to Art about how we can make a partnership between the Sheriff's Office and Niagara PAL.
I got involved with PAL when I was in high school in the early 70s. Art Eberhart was the ombudsman in the high school, and I just started doing some sports things with him, kind of even in the early stages before PAL was really PAL. Played on some teams, and then probably middle to late 70s, he told me I should stop playing so much softball and start coaching one of his PAL baseball teams, and that's how I got started. Kind of taken ownership of the Fine Arts Awards, which is kind of unique because I'm a sports guy and I don't know a whole lot about the fine arts, but it turned out to be a really great program. I've done whatever I could in terms of fundraising. I'm trying to do a lot of collaboration with some other organizations like the Royal Fulton Center, the YMCAs and so forth, so we can maximize resources, that kind of thing. So.
I recently discovered that my 7-year-old self was part of the PAL programming with the All-Star Steelers and Eagles. As a cheerleader, my brother played football. And then ultimately my sister and myself and our children all became part of the recreational programming. We led into some travel soccer sports. My son participated in some of the PAL baseball clinics.
The best thing that I can remember is going to Children's Hospital, School 84.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was the most fantastic thing to see all those kids. Anything he needed done, if he needed help running his Halloween programs, his Easter programs, anything he needed, I was there, you know.
Mm-hmm. I went to the police academy with Neil Stenzel, who is Art's son-in-law. And while we were in the academy, he said, hey, my father-in-law runs the Police Athletic League, and he's always looking for volunteers. So after we got out of the academy, I said, hey, Neil, does PAL need me for anything? Because I have some time. And he's like, oh, let me call Art. And probably within 2 weeks, I was on a bus to Florida with a basketball team. Meeting I went to, they're like, will you be on the board of directors? I said, sure, I'll do that. And I never was able to leave after that. And it's been 35 years now.
Before I even played soccer, I was in about middle school, volunteering with some friends. They were going to coach soccer in the summer. I was interested, went out, met some people, had a good time. I started playing travel soccer with the program. A lot of my friends were in it. And that's when the concession trailer found me, you know, and it was one of those things that I was sitting there on crutches, and this guy named Art Eberhart kind of brings you in. Oh, what are you doing? This, that, everything else. And next thing I know, he's talking to me. I'm working the concession stand, hanging out.
My original involvement with Police Athletic League goes back to being a kid, and probably the best memories, a 14-year-old kid having the best summer of his life playing baseball with the Police Athletic League. We, before travel baseball was a thing, we had a travel baseball team and entered a national PAL tournament, went down to New Jersey, played ball there. We did very, very well, made it to the finals. Watched the Yankee game in the 100 level behind home plate. What kind of a opportunity would a normal 14-year-old kid from Niagara Falls have to do that? It was a dream summer. After graduating from high school and college, I actually had the opportunity to coach a PAL team that went down to Florida with Frank Battalato. Another, opportunity to grow as baseball, travel baseball became a thing. And I'd say more than half the roster of the first team that we had went on to play some kind of college sport. I take great joy in not only what I was able to learn and do as a baseball coach and enjoy a bunch of time with my kids and give them the same experience that I had through PAL.
My first involvement was being an assistant coach for the Niagara Falls Rangers. It's got to be 1971, 72. Dave Polikovich was the head coach, and I was one of the assistants, and I enjoyed it immensely, interacting with these beautiful kids.
Well, I actually met Art's daughter and fell in love, and Art was the executive director, and at that point he needed some volunteers, and I decided that I wanted to start volunteering for PAL, and 45 years later I'm still with PAL.
Originally I played soccer because my brother played soccer and I wanted to do everything he did, but that was just the pathway to so many other things.
So I reached out to Art Eberhart and asked if there was something we could do, to help, either financially supporting the programs or, volunteering our time. And that's how I got back involved.
Yeah, so I joined PAL when I was in 6th grade, when Art Eberhart and Aaron Andrejak came to my middle school to do a presentation about youth court. And so youth court was like, my first step into the world of PAL. And then once I got in, I never got out.
Involved with Niagara PAL when I was young. I got involved with Cataract Little League football. Police officers were coaching at that time, detectives. And so that's kind of how I got involved with Niagara PAL, traveling to different parts of the country and participating in national basketball tournaments right up until I was 18 years old.
Yeah, it's a running joke in our family that we were born onto the board.
Yes, I will agree with all of that. It's been really cool as well because my kids are now involved in PAL and they do a lot of the same stuff, concession stands, helping out in the PAL trailer, and it's really cool to just see it continue to carry on.
We were instrumental in the youth soccer program in the city. Roger Carroll, Sam Pagano, people like that got a youth program going, 30-some years ago now.
Well, we started school soccer in the fall of 1983. Somehow, my name came up or whatever. I became the first girls coach at LaSalle Senior High School. Art Eberhart was the first girls coach at Niagara Falls High School. And I didn't really know Art and PAL at the time and what it could be or could become. So that winter of 83 going into 84, we put together a team to play at Sportsplex, indoor soccer. And then moving into the spring of that year, we learned about the Buffalo Western New York Junior Soccer League. And we wanted the kids to, the only way we were going to have a program that could be viable was to grow. And that was kind of like where the seed was planted, and we started growing from there. And we took kids everywhere, and then we just started to grow in our own natural way. More and more kids were interested. It was during that time, probably late 80s, when we formally became a soccer club, the Niagara PAL Soccer Club, in and of its own. And we, came up with bylaws and a board and so on. But we're still strongly affiliated with PAL, we wore PAL on everything, and we were a PAL team, we were a PAL program. Underneath that, we started growing, okay, we need a feeder program for the kids who want to play school soccer and get into the organized soccer. So we started summer programs. For a long time, we were associated with Dee Dee's Ice Cream Dairy out in LaSalle.
And our recreational program is probably 25 years of a program where children from our community pay very little to participate in a sport, learn teamwork, learn camaraderie.
I think one of the things Art is most proud of, and I think we all are, is that the vast majority of the coaches were our youngsters, our kids who were playing school soccer.
So I started coaching for PAL basically right when I was still playing, actually. So the first team I coached with PAL as a volunteer, I was 11 years old. So I was partnered up with an older kid, and I was coaching 4-year-olds. I was playing for Niagara PAL travel soccer at the time. And then, basically it just kind of went on from there.
Well, I don't think we ever could have survived and grown without the association with Niagara PAL.
We were more than just athletics. It was not the Police Athletic League, it was more a police activities league. And that was super important, again, because it was more about just the relationship that the police would have with youth. There's certainly a lot of value to that. That certainly helps a lot of maybe underprivileged kids or kids who are coming from backgrounds that aren't the best. But we found a way to not only help the disadvantaged, but the normal kids as well. I mean, why should they be left out of what all the programs and services that we could offer? And
Police Athletic League is a misnomer anymore. Actually, it should be Police Activities League, but it costs too much money to change the name.
I actually ran the youth forum for several years, and that got middle school and high school kids involved in the community. They would do different things around the community, and they would also be a part of the PAL board. And they pretty much ran their own show. I just advised, and they came up with things to do in the community. We did street cleanups, we went to hospitals and nursing homes.
I do remember distinctly that I was on the youth bureau with the Niagara Police Athletic League, and that journey was amazing. I met great people. I was able to travel and just see the world for the most part. The Police Athletic League would introduce us to parts of government. We actually went to Washington, D.C. A lot of times, students, children don't get that opportunity. And to have the Police Athletic League provide that for me was amazing.
And one of the initiatives that we decided in the Juvenile Justice Task Force was that we were going to create a youth court in the city of Niagara Falls. And our youth court was going to be unique because not only was it going to address issues that could happen in the community for first-time juvenile offenders, but it was also going to address school issues and school offenses. And we trained these students who were in 8th, 9th, and 10th grade on courtroom procedures. We trained them how to be attorneys. We trained them how to talk to clients. We trained them how to present themselves in court, how to present themselves in front of a judge. We really took it right from the ground and trained them with our legal background on how to be attorneys and how to handle a case in the courtroom. And again, why I'm so proud of it is it was right at the beginning of restorative justice, because the idea is you take first-time juvenile offenders, and you bring them through this youth court.
My son was a prosecutor and now has turned into an attorney as well, led by Maria Massaro at that time, and my daughter was on the jury.
And we had a youth court conference in Washington, D.C., and it was at a time in my life when we actually took the kids on a march on Washington. It was a real positive march, but we walked from up to the Capitol building, and on the steps of the Capitol building, we all took a picture with Hillary Clinton. After we established the youth court, we brought the students to a conference, a youth court conference in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and at that conference, the students learned about a nationwide program called Every 15 Minutes. Which
Every 15 Minutes was a drinking and driving prevention program that had a very significant impact on my life, my friend's life. We went through the program as students and then had the opportunity for many years after to help run it as young adults, but still having that connection with the high school students. And I think it was meaningful because the students at the time saw us as, only a few years older. It wasn't a teacher, it wasn't someone 30 years older than them trying to explain why you should do right and wrong, but someone with life experience and talking about what's coming in the next couple of years.
Have Grim Reaper, they would reenact a scene where somebody was killed in an accident. They would go through classrooms, they would read obituaries. Very impactful program. I mean, fire department was involved, police department. They would actually stage a car crash scene in the parking lot at Niagara Falls High School.
But it was a pretty intensive event, and we spent several months, forming different committees, having meetings, assigning different things, to students, and we set up, it was basically a whole retreat at a local hotel where all the seniors would come and stay overnight. But it was all run completely out of the PAL office at Niagara Falls High School, and we would go up there and we'd have our meetings and we'd divide everything up and we'd figure it all out. But it was one of the biggest things that we did, as PAL youth volunteers.
Bill Berard had been in, I'm pretty sure it was Bill, was in Florida, and they had this program in Miami, and he brought it back where they recognized kids for just doing the right thing, to be cliches. And they would, they could have been they improved their grades from one semester to another.
My specific memories of PAL is the Do the Right Thing program, because I think the sheriff's office and at that time District Attorney Matt Murphy, I remember going up to the high school and honoring children or young people who maybe not were recognized for doing the small things right, whether it was returning a found wallet in some cases, and then so far as to start a CPR on someone who was in distress.
That was a great program. Just the look on their face when you bring them up on stage and you hand them an award. I mean, they're the center of attention, and it just builds their confidence and shows them they did the right thing.
And again, all Niagara County schools were included and were invited to participate. Everybody got at least a t-shirt and a certificate. They were brought, and there was a ceremony at Niagara Falls High School where they were recognized. The sheriff was there, police chief. They would read their accomplishment, and they would get recognized. It was televised by, at that time, OSC 21. The 9/11, 10th anniversary of 9/11, the only ones in city of Niagara Falls that did any kind of a program were kids from Niagara Falls High School. They did an outstanding program at the school recognizing that event. The diversity of the kids that ran that program, that made it all work, was unbelievable. Students of Excellence Scholarship Program would have been the first truly non-athletic program. That was 1981. We actually do now 3 different recognition programs for high school seniors.
We had a scholarship, and we used to, they still do, we gave the scholarships away every year to the Students of Excellence. And it really is a way, an outreach to students in Niagara Falls and all of Niagara County and Western New York.
Kids were honored for all different things, and kids were honored from all over the area, and just it was a really uplifting thing. And I was just blessed to see my father be the master of ceremonies. And I remember Father Jerry Barco, who would always give a PAL invocation.
And a couple years later, 83, I think we started doing sports awards where there's a prep athlete of the year, that kind of thing.
My son won a scholarship through Police Athletic League. It's the one nobody wants to win. It's the comeback player of the year after the injury through a partnership with the Niagara Falls Memorial Medical Center.
We added Arts Awards. Why we hadn't done that prior to that, I don't know. But that's like 7 different categories where high school seniors from across Western New York are honored for their contributions to the arts.
My son is in. He's a creative guy. He's in theater and arts, and I used to being around him and all those kids who were in the arts. I said they work really hard, and in the high schools and before that, but they very seldom get recognized. And I said, as a PAL, we support kids. Why not for the kids who are artists and painters and singers and performers?
After the last year, we've given out over $100,000 to kids in scholarships. They've had involvement with PAL. They are kids from art to music to you name it, like good academics, kids that have overcome stuff. And I think that's another part of what PAL is. Like PAL's really, it's quietly taken, and it probably hasn't gotten enough credit over the years.
Yeah, as time went on and I started to get my own business as an insurance agency, and so I would sponsor a lot of things like some of the scholarships.
Whatever was out there that we kind of wanted to fill a void, that's where we went.
When my son was very young, he used to tell people, my dad has 3 jobs. He teaches in college, which I was a professor. He referees basketball, which I had done for 30 years, and he cooks hot dogs, because I would take him to the Kids and Kites and the Wildlife Festival with me, and he would volunteer, and he got that service, heart of a servant in him in that respect.
And we talk about Niagara PAL as the athletic league very often, and so much is beyond athletics. The programs that we'd get involved with, it could be kite festivals.
If there was a new idea, the answer was, well, let's try it. Let's do it. Let's see how it works.
But PAL does a plethora of other activities, kites for kids. They're in Niagara PAL offices in Niagara Falls High School, so they're very accessible and the resources are there. The 5K run, and it's community, it's the number of people that PAL brings together, basically built with volunteers.
I think a big thing too when we were younger is we always had fun. We did the floats for Festival of Lights parade, and then as I got older, I saw how much work and how much heart you actually put into this, and how much goes on behind the scenes for all these community events, and that's just been really inspiring. And that makes me want to go out there and do things for the community.
Yeah, we had youth forum, we had youth court, breakfast with Santa. Do you remember the Easter events?
Youth forums. My husband loves that I did that because I like to debate now.
So Art asked me one day if we could put together a chess program at the high school. So I think we're in our 3rd or 4th year. It started off a little small, and then last year, the Niagara Falls High School chess team went undefeated in their league. I think they were 15-0. When we got the roster this May, we had something like 40 kids show up. We had 7 or 8 volunteers drive all the way to the high school, 7 summers in a row, just to spend time with the kids.
Well, I remember back when we did have boxing, National Boxing Program came to Niagara Falls, and actually Mike Tyson was one of the kids that was involved, and he was just a PAL kid back then. And yeah, the Kids and Kites program is actually coming up this weekend, and we partner with the town of Niagara, and they have kids that come out, and they can have lunch, they get a free kite, and there's all kinds of different events that they can be involved in.
I've had a lifelong relationship with Art Eberhart. We started in the cable television days, Affecting Youth, which was a television show that was highlighting PAL programs. And
doing the Spooktacular, doing the Breakfast with Santa, becoming involved with Kites for Kids. It was just a wonderful time.
I took 5 10-year-olds to Japan for over a week for the youth baseball conference.
I didn't even grow up in New York, and I was a PAL kid. Every time I came back from Ohio, I was always doing PAL stuff. I was volunteering at the concession stand for Dee Dee's, or I was a soccer coach and a referee with Jeff.
Longtime PAL kids, Aaron Andrzejak, Jenna Miller, Kristen Thaler, so many to name. I started hanging out with them. Then I realized they spend their study halls in the PAL office. I go check it out, see what was going on. Next thing I know, I'm involved in every program PAL has to offer.
Yeah, I think the Ralph Wilson, I happen to be, I've been on that board as well since its inception. And I think one of the things that the PAL does for that board is, a measure of our mission for that organization is to provide opportunities for underserved youth to be able to participate in sports. And I think PAL, because oftentimes we charge little or nothing for our programs, helps that board and that facility meet its mission as well.
Good question. Good question. I'd have to go back and look, but probably 8 or 9 over the years. Well, we wouldn't get anywhere without it, and especially in the beginning, they, like we mentioned before, going to Indianapolis, taking youth forum kids to Washington D.C. to meet with Louis Slaughter, to go there for a national youth forum. Transported, a lot of other groups are allowed to use it to go places they would normally not get to.
The PAL van, that was very important to our baseball programs. It helped us in ways that other organizations really didn't have that. I mean, nobody's going to rent a bus. And again, travel wasn't a thing back then. You didn't have parents loading up their cars.
And used to drive the van to School 84 in Buffalo for the Christmas programs for a number of years. During COVID, Feed More, Western New York, used our van to deliver food.
But I ended up on the floor for 22 hours. But the PAL van's been all over. I can't tell you the places we've been, the experiences, the opportunities that we've had, and it was always like, hey, Art, can I get the PAL van for the weekend? We're going to Philly. Hey, Art, can I get the PAL van? We're going to West Virginia.
Man, numerous vans. I know Joe Ciccone used to be a big supporter for the PAL, so I can imagine how many vans the PAL has had over the years.
Probably driving from Niagara Falls to Fort Myers, Florida in one day.
You'd be hard-pressed not to find somebody who hasn't driven the PAL van. The PAL van is our transportation for our school chess team.
We probably would not exist today without the Niagara Falls Board of Education. Carmen Grano, the then superintendent, was gracious in offering us facilities in the new Niagara Falls High School.
And I have always prided myself on saying, Police Athletic League, what do you need? You need fields? You got them. Go play soccer. You need an office space? Let's do it.
And the resources are there through Niagara PAL and the Niagara Falls City School District to continue programs for kids.
But we don't have any of the brick and mortar. We don't have any of the overhead. We're an all-volunteer organization. Administrative expenses for a not-for-profit agency are probably about 10%. Where the normal one would be 60, 70%.
Frank Orfanos, the Bobby D's, the Dan Bazzanis, the Art Calandrellis, Dorothy Wentz, they were the connection to start having Police Athletic League get more kids involved, specifically in Niagara Falls. I'm really proud of the Police Athletic League for picking up the Unified Sports program. It's something that started in the school district. And Unified Sports is an opportunity for students with developmental disabilities of any kind to get involved.
We picked up flag football, which wasn't a thing in the past, and now that's becoming very big.
Niagara PAL is important because there are so many individuals out there that just don't have opportunities. Niagara PAL still found a way to reach my skill set and help me to achieve at higher levels that I would have never put myself in. And I know it has given thousands of other kids worth. And I think that's what makes the organization so meaningful and impactful to our community. We even do reach the high schools and the school districts on the northern end of Erie County.
I don't know why, but I felt community involvement with the department was important because we are working for the community. We're more than just a police department. And PAL does that for the youth of Niagara Falls. So without something constructive, without something to occupy their time in a positive way, can possibly lead to an unsuccessful path that they're going to go down.
I think particularly in Niagara Falls, on a year-round basis, the PAL provides a broad-based program of activities for kids. It also provides, a good measure of scholarship funds.
It's free. Like, you don't have to pay a membership fee. You don't have to pay an entry fee thing, and they don't turn people away. Anybody can play PAL sports.
It fills a missing gap for what kids can do after school, but all the volunteer opportunities that they're afforded with when they do their Halloween event and a Christmas event.
We don't answer to a government entity. We have to answer to ourselves, to a board of directors. Their philosophy is put the kids first, and everything else will take care of itself. Because we've had that freedom, the chess, the kids running club, youth forum, youth court, etc., we've been able to do and fill those gaps. We don't do Little League Baseball because somebody else does it very well.
PAL is important because they actually have interact directly with the young people in the community, and establishing that trust between the young people and the law enforcement in the community.
It's really a lifeline. Now they can come into programs and be involved. I mean, we've had kids that have gone to the NFL, the NBA.
PAL isn't really built upon anything but people having a passion of what they would like to do. Everyone who leads these activities, they bring up the idea, they bring up the concept, and Niagara PAL helps to make that happen.
We want the youth to be involved. We want them to be involved not only as participants, but also come back and be the full circle. Now, maybe I have a few that have come back, even in their college years, to volunteer for our summer soccer program, our summer tennis program.
I think PAL is extremely important because, it provides an opportunity for not only for the kids that we serve, but for the volunteers. There were so many kids that I've seen go from, little Timbits playing soccer to being, youth leaders themselves. And I think that having an opportunity and adults to guide you, every single adult you see working with PAL is like the most selfless person. I don't see it anywhere else. I've worked in a lot of youth organizations, and PAL is just one that, I'm extremely proud to be part of it. And
but what's most important, I think, is the kids that have come through our program. They've gone on to become good fathers and good husbands and good community leaders. And
it's a preeminent organization in our area to develop kids, give them program outlets that they otherwise may not have the opportunity.
And the theme is the same. Take the time to talk to a child. Listen to what they have to say. It makes a difference. I remember it 50 years later.
It's really cool to see how many kids came through one or multiple PAL programs. And I think this is also a call to get those kids who are now adults to come back and work and mentor in some PAL programs.
The early days, I'd go in there, and that's when I met Art Eberhart and Bob Fink, and Howard Warren was in the office working. And those individuals, even as high school kids, they gave us the opportunity to grow and take leadership roles, and that allowed us to really develop within the community on our own.
It was a very safe environment. You could come play, you could kind of interact with kids that you really would never interact with, and you kind of started to learn that, a lot of things that people say about people from different neighborhoods, people different races, religions and stuff, really aren't necessarily true.
They did it without even knowing that's what they were doing, right? Seeing just the adults that were around us at the time were such great mentors, maybe not them even thinking they were mentors, us as youth seeing that.
I think in the moment they were enjoying themselves and really experiencing the opportunity that was in front of them and not taking it for granted.
I conquered one of my biggest fears of making phone calls during the Every 15 Minutes campaign. Totally gave me that confidence too. They never suggested that I couldn't do it, so I just said, okay, well, I guess I have to do it then. And
one of the big things that the kids have told me over the years, that we let them fail. Not greatly, but let them fail, and that sometimes is more impactful than doing something successful.
It connects people that are not every day involved in each other's lives, and when that happens, I just think so many kids have had success because of small things that maybe as the adults that are involved, maybe we don't realize until the end of the day and you see where they're at. Like, I'll never forget, we went to a restaurant and we go out and we're having breakfast. And this young man is now he's an administrator in Rochester. The lady said, well, what kind of bread do you want? And he said, Wonder, because he'd never really been out to such a simple thing that we take for granted.
You know, as I went on to college, those were the experiences that I leaned upon. Those were the opportunities. You'd be in a class or in an interview, and they'd say, "Oh, what opportunity have you had as a leadership in leadership?" And I could list off 10 things I did with PAL in the last 6 months.
It's the organization in the community that touches more kids in more different ways than any other that I've ever known.
I'm just so impressed by the volunteers, the adults who, you know, they might not have had a lot of money. They might not have been movie stars or famous athletes or whatever, but we all have something to give, and they gave their time.
We've been thinking about the future of PAL for the last 25 years because, you know, Art being in his middle 80s, we've always had trying to create a succession plan.
Good question. We've been asking ourselves that for 20 years. Obviously, it has to change. And it is. It's evolving. So, and it's going to probably have to be by committee, because I've been chief cook and bottle washer for a while.
We're looking to make those advancements, whether it's simple things like using digital technology for registrations, finding ways to collect donations better, finding ways to reach youth in our county, connecting to different schools.
And finding more resources is going to be imperative for us.
For PAL, I just really see that it will continue to expand to meet everyone's needs. Every day you see a different sport being added on the, you know, the athletics front. You know, we've got unified putt-putt and things like that. I'm sure flag football is going to be popping up there if it hasn't already. I don't think there's any lack of people who want to be a part of the organization, and that's all it needs to keep growing.
The future for girls basketball is bigger than I've ever seen it, because they see it on TV, they see the WNBA, they see the college games.
The city of Niagara Falls does not want to see PAL cease to exist. It's important. It's an integral part of the growing up of these kids that don't always have the financial wherewithal to participate in some of the activities.
PAL's model of looking at where the puck is going as opposed to where it's been has got to continue. Follow the pattern of what is happening with kids in sports, with kids in school, with kids that need some extra supports. And
trying to get the funds to keep programs running and stuff, I can only imagine how difficult that is. So if you're out there and you have the means to donate, please do. I hope that the kids come back that have benefited from it, and I hope that not so much just to donate, but just to pass the word on what PAL can be and what hopefully in the future it will be.
And hopefully this reunion is a step in the right direction, is a reconnect with so many people who have gone through PAL through all their lives. And one of the things that I always wanted people to think about, and I've done it, and I'm no multimillionaire, but I hope others will think about it too, is legacy giving for the Police Athletic League. Someday when I pass along, the executor of my state is going to remember that Police Athletic League needs to be part of my assets.
You know, one of the programs we just expanded in was flag football, and it's a big sport that's developing.
Or create more digital opportunities or different types of opportunities to make sure that they're closing the loop and bringing in students who may not just be athletes and giving them that positive connection with adults and with police officers and other members in their community.
I just hope the future for PAL continues to bring strong adults in to bring and create strong youth.
PAL is a wonderful organization that always be lively. It will always attract young people.
Like when you talk about PAL, you know, Art has been the rock of it. He started it, and he's been there from beginning to now. The only thing that I think has put more miles in than Art is the PAL vans.
The rock was Art Eberhart.
One of the things that's made PAL so viable was that there was so much of his family, and so many people that joined because of him and we've stayed with it.
He has been the mainstay at PAL. We talk about succession planning, and the guy's just going to outlive and outlast the people that we had thought might be, his successors in the organization.
Or Art just doesn't say no to people. You got an idea? Sure, go with it. We'll help you in whatever way we can.
And right now, my daughter, Jennifer, is on the board of directors for the Police Athletic League, and she's heavily involved in volunteering. And my boys have been volunteers and actually participated in some of the sporting events throughout the years.
It means everything. It means that's what he lives for, is PAL. Being with the kids. My whole family is now involved with kids because of him.
Well, everybody's made me look good. My biggest role in all of this has been a facilitator. I tell you, I've got it. My family has been immense in all of this, right from the beginning. And in the beginning, my kids were participants, and then they became volunteers, and then their kids were participants, and then volunteers. My wife, there's people that want to nominate my wife for a lot of reasons for sainthood. And probably PAL is one of them. And she's been there, the whole family's been there for all these years. In 1983, PAL was primarily, all the way through the 70s, PAL was a totally a police department inclusive organization. There were no civilians involved, it was all police. And it was difficult because everybody would then work shift work. In 83, when I decided to retire, they had to make a decision whether they were going to stay with the police department or go as a separate entity. They made the decision to become a separate entity, to sever from the police department. To my knowledge, we were the first PAL in the United States to do that. Chuck Steiner and Fred Queso from the Chamber of Commerce. I had no idea how to run a business, and that's what we had to do. They were instrumental in helping us through those first few years when we left the police department.
Now there's a lot of community leaders, teachers, firefighters, policemen. Uniqueness is that our board members, none of our board members are paid employees.
I had the unique opportunity, I was so involved young that I was 19 years old when I joined the board originally. And I quickly learned the impact that each individual had. Some of those individuals had been on since the very first days, and as the years have gone on, obviously those numbers have dwindled, and we've continued to fill the board with active members.
Ultimately, I became part of the board on the soccer programming and in the PAL Greater Board, and I am now the secretary as well.
So I joined the Police Athletic League board shortly after starting my career in Western New York again, and stayed on the board for many, many years. Continued to be involved, would MC dinners, programs, and things of that nature. A little less now. It's time to turn that over to other volunteers and other younger folks, but never want to stop being a volunteer.
When I started, I loved basketball and I liked being around kids. And throughout the years, it became more, I really loved working with kids and I liked basketball.
Art asked me if I would want to sit on the board of directors for PAL, and of course I said yes. You never say no to Art, but of course I said yes because I absolutely fell in love with the idea of PAL.
Yep. One of the things I like about the PAL board is that we are, obviously we're all volunteer, but we're a working board. We all have projects, we all have interests, we all have things that we are expected to do as a hands-on board member. I've been in a number of service organizations, all very valuable. A lot of that was raising money, and this is working with programs, working with kids. And that's how we look for board members who have an interest in a program or an activity and are willing to put in the time.
And we know Art Eberhart, this organization, would not exist with him and Bob Fink and our other founding members. But there are also the quiet people in the background who are doing the most work of all, but they don't want the recognition. And we don't frequently want to single people out, but someone like Julie Conti, this organization runs on her back. She's a retired teacher. She puts more effort into a volunteer opportunity than most people put into their job. And she would hate that I tell you that, but those are the people that make Niagara PAL special. Those are the people that continue to make the organization run. Those are the people that continue to prove the naysayers wrong, that say the organization isn't going to last more than a month. That is the reason we're special. That is the reason why so many great opportunities exist for our students in our community.
But the most important thing is you need to show these kids that we put our pants on just like they do. We're human, and we can be away from the job. We can be good people.
Community. I think it was important to have those police officers that interacted with the children, with the young people, whether it be coaching sports or supporting the programs, was very important in engaging those people.
Because it connects the police department to the community in a non-confrontational way. It helps build good relationships between youth and police officers for the police officers that are involved.
Another great example of how we were able to tie the police and the sheriff's department into the police athletic league and keep that connection, which is very, very important. You can't have the name without the connection. And programs like Do the Right Thing did that.
Thank you very much, PAL. Thank you all the volunteers in PAL. The 55 years you have served the community is very outstanding.
Great job, Niagara Police Athletic League. I'm so proud to have been involved with you, and I wish you all the best in continuing your mission to be kids and have kids be your business.
Congratulations on 55 amazing years. I hope and pray that you have 55 more.
Congratulations, PAL. It's been a pleasure and an honor to serve with all the members, and I hope we have another 50 years.
But I was there in the beginning at its inception with some of the people that started it. And it's been a long, successful run. And I pray to God it doesn't end anytime soon.
PAL, congratulations on 55 years. You've done so many wonderful things in this community, and I know you're going to do more wonderful things as time goes on.
Hey, congratulations to the Police Athletic League. 55 great years of leading this community with activities, events, recreation, and strong support for our kids. We appreciate you, pal. Thank you.
All right, congratulations, PAL, for 55 years. Here's to 55 more.
I have been so proud to be a part of this organization for 35 of its 55 years in existence, and I hope that you continue and we are all able to continue to serve the Police Athletic League, Police Activities League, and the area that.
So, Art, on behalf of all of the participants, the alumni, the board of directors, the founders, we want to say thank you for continuing these 55 years with PAL, and we look forward to the next 55. We're all in it for the legacy that you've started and created with your friends as founders, and we will keep that legacy going.
Niagara PAL and Art Eberhart, I'll do that again. Niagara Police Athletic League, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Okay, Niagara PAL, you know what you got to do, man. Keep it going. It's been 55 years. Keep it going.
Niagara PAL, can't believe it's 55 years, but then when I look at Art and I look at some of our colleagues of mine that were associated with PAL and how proud we are to say that we were associates with PAL, family, the PAL family, the whole Eberhart family is amazing. I don't know how they do it, but I'm certainly glad that they do.
Congratulations, pal, on your longevity, and thank you so much for the many lives that you guys have changed.
I'd like to say congratulations to the Niagara PAL. And if you're wondering about my Pittsburgh Steelers shirt, I only know 2 fans in the school district, me and Mark Laurie. So congratulations. Love you, pal. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hey, Niagara PAL, I just want to say thank you for this amazing opportunity to produce a video which honors the 55 years, all the kids, all the programs that have come through, and all the difference that Niagara PAL has made in so many lives. Made a huge difference in my life, my family's life, and so many kids that I taught for 31 years in the city of Niagara Falls. And thank you, Niagara PAL, for all that you do. Keep it going.
Hey, Niagara PAL, 55 years of excitement, fun, a little bit of stress from time to time, but I think this is just the beginning. We are in the infancy of our organization. 55 years is an amazing accomplishment, but we're looking for 100 more. I hope this outlives me and everybody involved because this is so important to the community.